Good morning, and welcome to Gray Man Walking. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about going back and reviewing my hopes, fears, and goals for this thru hike of the Appalachian Trail. One of my subscribers actually beat me to this, and she went back and looked, kind of compared what I thought about in the beginning, what I thought about in the end. And I did the same thing. But going back and reviewing some of my hopes, obviously, I had about 3 reasons for doing this hike. I was inspired by other thru hikers that Beth and I watched on YouTube for several years. I was a little disappointed that my off-road motorcycle racing career had kind of waned and I wasn't competitive anymore. So I was kind of looking around for something that I could win at, so to speak. I was looking for a big challenge. And then I was also a little concerned that I might have some trouble separating from a job that I did for 46 years. Almost no one does that anymore, but it was a job that I absolutely loved. A lot of my identity came from work, and I just thought it was going to be difficult to walk away. Turns out that was not the case, so 2 out of the 3 reasons pretty much remain valid, but one of the other kind of hopes that I had was centered around wildlife. I had hoped to see a moose, and that didn't quite happen, but I did see very fresh moose tracks. I saw them first thing in the morning, so it's either early that morning or sometime during the night. But saw a lot of moose droppings, but in 3 different states, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. But never got my eyes on a moose. But I did see some loons and heard a lot of loons. But actually saw some. Saw porcupine. Never saw one of those before in my life. And saw a couple bears in New Jersey and only one rattlesnake. But truth be told, I did not see a lot of wildlife on the trail. I kind of see more around here where I live. But what we did see was interesting, and tried to capture as much of it as I could. The social aspect of the trail, I walked most of the trail by myself, but I did meet a lot of people and knew a lot of people. I probably have between 25 and 30 phone numbers in my phone of people that I met out there and got to know well enough to get their phone number. I probably have summit pictures from 15 other hikers that I hiked around. So I did enjoy the people. The AT community is second to none. The folks at the hostels in the towns, the restaurants we ate in, it was all a positive, pleasant experience. I was hoping by being out there in my hammock for 10 or 12 hours a night that it might kind of reset my sleep habits a little bit, but that was not the case. I rested very well. I rested 10 or 12 hours every day. And I would sleep and wake up, sleep and wake up, sleep and wake up. And it wasn't because I was uncomfortable. It's just a pattern I've gotten into and can't seem to break it. But I thought there was a chance for that, but that didn't quite pan out. I talked that I hoped I would increase my fitness some, and I certainly did. Once I got my body used to what I was doing, I didn't have any joint pain, any muscle pain. I wasn't sore. I didn't do crazy miles or anything like that. Probably the most I did was 21 or 22 in any given day. But normally it was a lot less. So that probably played into that. I didn't overwork my body, but I felt that I did improve my level of fitness and strengthen my joints, my muscles, and all that sort of thing. I hope to lose some weight. I probably lost more than I wanted to, but I'm kind of watching that now and make sure I do what I can not to put it all back on. I'd like to keep about 25 to 30 of those pounds that I had off. So we'll see how that goes. I did have an issue with my little toe on my left foot. I would not be surprised if it was broken. I didn't do anything to break it, but it just felt like it was broken. The amount of pain, the type of pain that I would feel out of it, I don't know. But and I've taken my blood pressure a couple times since I've been home, and it is a good bit better than it was when I left. I didn't have high blood pressure to start with. I don't take any medication for it, but it's definitely less than better numbers than what I had when I left. And someone said I probably added 5 years to my life by doing this hike, and I wouldn't doubt that a bit. The most interesting thing about the dynamics of the hike that I noticed, and I've told y'all this many times, but it was how the different hikers just moved around each other. I would see somebody in the beginning and not see them again until halfway through the hike. And, I told you about seeing Lone Star at Franklin, North Carolina, and then not seeing him again until a shelter in Vermont. That's just crazy. But that was really the most unexpected and interesting thing that I saw out there. I was open to whatever the trail had to offer as far as, any significant revelations or anything about me, but in reality, didn't have any epiphanies out there. I pretty much thought I knew what I was getting into, and that's pretty much what it was. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people, enjoyed the towns, the hostels. As I've said before, I enjoyed all of it, which made it such a good experience. Let's talk a little bit about some of the fears that I had going into this hike. My biggest fear was I have this fear of exposure, of being on the edge of a cliff. Basically, it's a fear of heights. I didn't always have this fear. It started somewhere around 2005, but I recognized it, and it was something that concerned me so much that I actually made plans, to have one of my kids come summit with me. As it turned out, both of them could, but I pretty much wanted Evan to come summit with me because I thought I might be close enough to the edge up there it would cause me problems. As it turns out, there are several sketchy places on the trail, one being the climb up the nearest town's Palmerton. It's the Lehigh Water Gap. That was a sketchy climb. And there's some on up in New England, in the Whites, in southern Maine. But in truth, I never really got close enough. The edge was never close enough. There was always rocks or boulders or trees, shrubs. There was always something around that made you feel like you were not completely on the edge. A lot of times when we had to walk by something close, I just kept my eyes focused ahead. So my fear never really materialized. I never got myself in a situation that I was felt like I was in danger enough that I felt like I was, paralyzed or couldn't go forward or just really hating it. That never materialized. I was very happy about that. For the most part, my body did hold up. I've talked about my toe a lot. But once I got going, I didn't suffer from just actually doing the daily activity. That probably contributed, a lot to my enjoyment. I did have one injury about the second day of Shenandoah National Park. I did trip and I fell hard. I reported that day I was fine, but the next day the pain was probably a 7 or 8. And for 2 days it hurt like that. I took 2 doses of vitamin A each day and got through it. And it probably took between 2 or 3 weeks to get completely over the pain, even though I didn't have to take anything for it after the second day, but I could feel it, and my leg was swollen for a good little time. But that was the only real injury I had, and it didn't slow me down. I kept going each day. There were a couple sketchy people on the trail, and they weren't even day hikers or through hikers or section hikers. In one particular case, there was a couple guys I think just saw the parking area, stopped, walked into the woods a little bit, and they caught my attention, and I kind of kept an eye on them. Turns out they were perfectly fine, but it's like anywhere in the world, you get a little notion about someone, you just are alert and kind of watch out. There was another case when there was a handful of young fellas out there, and there's an old saying around here, it applies to boys or dogs. 1 boy's a boy, 2 boys half a boy, and 3 boys and no boy at all. So you put a bunch of 18-year-olds together and you can have some trouble, but that didn't pan out either. So no trouble with people. I really had no trouble with any animals. I camped alone more nights than I camped around people, and never had any issues with animals. Didn't have any ticks. I treated my clothes. So that was all reassuring and worked very well. So I guess my goals, obviously the number one goal was to complete the hike. And I feel very fortunate and very blessed that I was able to do that. I took 189 days to do it. That my timeline was fluid. I'm retired. I didn't have time pressures, didn't have money pressures, didn't have some of the things that drive some people to move faster or slower, but I was very, very fortunate and very pleased, very happy to be able to complete what I set out to do. I stuck to my original goals as far as starting slow and letting the trail come to me, and not trying to put any added pressure or anything. I tried to stay present every day, and that worked for me. And another goal that I really didn't say in the beginning, but it was almost a given to me, is I wanted to have connected footsteps on the AT. So I was able to accomplish that. I had to ford one river to do that. That there was a walk around. There was several other blue blazes a person could have taken, but I didn't do any yellow blazing, no pink blazing, no blue blazing. I did a good bit of silk blazing, a little bit of platinum blazing, And I did some slack packing, and I did 2 days southbound. So I threw a few wrinkles in, but connected footsteps was just one of the things that was important to me. And, some people, it's important for them, some people it's not. So everyone does what they want their experience to be. So I was happy I was able to complete that. Nothing stood in the way of like fires or any kind of situation that would make me go around something. I was able just to walk from one end to the other. I'm very, very happy about that. And kind of finally, no big surprise to any of you all, one of my main goals when I decided to do this is I wanted to involve my family in as much of it as I could. It turns out I had 15 people, different people, walk some part of the trail with me. My son Brewer did the most at 127 miles. My stepson Shad did the second most at 75 miles. And then my daughter, she was a close third at 70 miles. But other than that, I had several folks come out and walk at least a day with me or part of a day with me. I was very happy to that. I'm very happy to be able to look back on those videos and relive the enjoyment that I had with other people coming out and seeing what the AT is all about. And granted, those three that I mentioned, my 3 kids, they got enough of the experience that they really understood and could feel and really had a grasp of what the hike was about, what the lifestyle was about, what the people out there was about. So they all enjoyed it immensely, and I was very happy to be able to share that with them as well. So, all right. The hopes, fears, and goals, things that I wanted to happen played out very well. Things that I didn't want to happen didn't really materialize. And I was able to complete this hike. Feel very blessed, very happy. Appreciate all you all supporting me and cheering me on. And that's going to do it for today. We'll see you again in about a week. Goodbye.
Grayman, what are we doing?
It's a pig!
We are sitting and waiting on starfish,
Maybe a trick.
aka stingray,
It's a trick slip.
so you can join
I like the trick.
said stingray and 2 of his buddies on a short little, probably about 9.5 mile day hike up to Dragon's Tooth and down to Trout Creek, where I will pick you up and take you back to your real life.
Alex.
Don't make me.
Don't make me.